Welcome to The Explainer. You ever look at a job posting for a top tech company and wonder what it actually takes to get the job? Well, today we're doing exactly that. We're going to go way beyond the buzzwords and literally reverse engineer a real live job posting from the tech giant Micron. By the end of this, you'll have the exact blueprint for getting hired.
Okay, let's get right into it. The job we're deconstructing is for a data analytics engineer at Micron. You know, they're a huge player in the memory and storage space. This isn't some theoretical exercise. This is a real inside look at the skills and responsibilities they are hiring for right now. So first up, here are the vitals, just the key facts at a glance. You can see it's a role for folks who are just starting out, recent grads and early career pros, and it's based in Hyderabad, India. Now, that salary range is pretty wide, from 3 to 12 LPA. And in case you're not familiar, LPA stands for lakhs per annum, a super common way of talking about salary in India. That wide range is a big clue, right? It tells you they're open to fresh talent, but are also willing to pay for someone with a few years of solid experience.
All right, let's talk mission. Beyond the fancy job title, what's the real point of this role? What problem is this person actually being hired to solve for a massive company like Micron?
And you know what? The job description tells us exactly why this role exists. It's not just about playing with numbers in a spreadsheet. It's about building the actual systems that use data to improve how things get made, to make processes run smoother, and to help the higher-ups make much smarter decisions. We're talking about data that has a real, tangible impact.
Now, check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting. This is how that big mission translates into what you'd actually be doing every day. And you can see right away, you're not just a data engineer. You're also a full-stack developer building applications, a data analyst making dashboards that people can actually understand, and even a bit of a consultant translating business problems into tech solutions. This is a true hybrid role, for sure. Okay, so if you're going to be wearing all those different hats, you're going to need a pretty specific set of tools, right? So let's dive into the toolkit you'll need to actually succeed in a role like this. So what are the absolute non-negotiable skills you have to have? And maybe more importantly, what are the skills that'll give you that extra edge to really stand out from everyone else applying?
And this is just brilliant. Micron actually lays it out for us perfectly. They split the skills into two buckets. The essentials, which are the things you absolutely have to bring to the table, and the competitive edge, which are the skills that are going to make your resume fly to the top of the pile. Let's break them down. First, let's talk about the foundation. Of course, you need strong Python, and you need to be a wizard with SQL. But look closer at the databases. Snowflake and Google Cloud's BigQuery. That's a huge tell. They're not looking for experience with clunky, old-school databases. Nope. They want you to have skills with the modern, powerful cloud platforms that are built to handle absolutely massive amounts of data.
Okay, but just managing the data isn't enough, right? You've got to make it useful for actual human beings. That means you need to know your way around visualization tools like Tableau or Power BI, and it means you've got to be able to build applications. That's where REST APIs come in. You can think of them like bridges that let different pieces of software talk to each other. And you'll need to build the front end, the part people see, with something like Angular.
And finally, for the essentials, you have to understand the process, the how. This means knowing core concepts like ETL, which is just the fancy term for how data gets moved around, extract, transform, and load. You also need a solid handle on statistics, and you have to know how to work in an agile environment using tools like Jira. That's just the modern way of building software in these quick, collaborative cycles.
Okay, so you've got all the essentials. Now, how do you become the candidate they just have to interview? This is it. This is how you really stand out. Bringing machine learning and AI skills to the table, huge. Having DevOps experience, especially on Google Cloud, massive plus. And then there's the super specific one, experience with semiconductor data. If you have that, you have a gigantic advantage. All right, so you've looked through the whole toolkit, you've checked off your skills, and you're thinking, hey, this is for me. So what's next? Let's walk through the exact blueprint for actually applying. Honestly, the process itself is pretty straightforward. Standard online application stuff. But, and you really need to hear this, pay close attention to steps 6 and 7, ensuring accuracy, verifying details. For a data-driven role, your application is your very first test. If it has typos or mistakes, what does that say about your attention to detail? So for real, double and triple check everything before you even think about hitting that submit button. So, after taking this whole thing apart, the mission, the day-to-day tasks, the must-have skills, and the things that'll make you shine, we finally get to the single most important part of all, The big question is, does your personal toolkit match up with this blueprint? Because this is so much more than just one job description. What we've really looked at today is a roadmap for what a modern data role looks like at a top-tier tech company. This is what they're looking for. So the real question to ask yourself is this. Looking at this breakdown, what's the one skill you're going to focus on building next to land a role just like this one?